If you're over 60 and your feet feel numb, tingly, or like you're walking on cushions, this may be the most important video you watch all year. Because what if I told you that in many cases, this isn't just aging, it's your nerves crying out for two specific vitamins, and when you give them what they need, sensation can start coming back in days. No more guessing where your feet are. No more fear of falling. No more accepting numbness as normal. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what could be missing in your body and how to start waking your feet back up. Numb feet are not just aging, and that is one of the biggest myths keeping people stuck and suffering in silence. Because when sensation starts fading in the feet, most people are told it's normal, it's part of getting older. It's something you just have to live with. And over time, they begin to believe that story even as walking becomes harder, balance feels shaky, and confidence slowly disappears. But the truth is that in many cases, numbness is a signal from the body that something is missing or not working properly, especially at the level of the nerves. And nerves are incredibly sensitive to nutrient deficiencies, particularly B vitamins. So when those nutrients drop, the nerves struggle to send clear signals and the brain stops receiving accurate information from the feet, which is why people describe it as walking on cotton, on sand, or on thick pads. And this is not an unavoidable part of aging, but often the result of years of reduced absorption, medication use, blood sugar issues, or digestive changes that come with age, meaning the body may not be getting or using the nutrients it needs, even if the diet looks fine on paper. And because this process is slow and gradual, most people don't notice when it begins. They just wake up one day and realize their feet don't feel the way they used to. And that's when fear sets in. Fear of falling, fear of losing independence, fear of not being able to move freely anymore. And that fear is often compounded by being told nothing can be done. But when you understand that nerves are living tissue that require specific vitamins to maintain their structure and function, everything changes. Because now numbness is no longer a mystery or a life sentence, but a clue, a message that the system needs support. And this is especially important over 60, because stomach acid naturally declines, absorption weakens, and the body becomes less efficient at converting nutrients into usable forms. So deficiencies become more common even in people who eat well, and when the nerves don't get what they need, they begin to misfire, sending weak or distorted signals, which the brain interprets as numbness, tingling, or burning. And this is why correcting deficiencies can sometimes lead to noticeable improvement, because the body is finally being given the raw materials to repair and restore function. And this is also why it's dangerous to dismiss numb feet as just age, because it delays action and allows the problem to progress, potentially affecting balance, gait, and overall mobility. And when you start to see numbness as a warning light instead of a normal condition, you empower yourself to take steps, ask questions, get tested, and explore solutions that could dramatically improve how you feel and move in daily life. Because aging does not automatically mean losing sensation, losing stability, or losing control over your body. And many people who thought they were simply getting old later discover they were actually dealing with a correctable deficiency. And once addressed, they regain warmth, awareness, and connection in their feet, and the ground beneath them begins to feel real again, and that shift alone can restore confidence, independence, and a sense of security that had quietly slipped away over time. Vitamin D12 is absolutely critical for nerve repair and sensation, yet it is one of the most commonly overlooked deficiencies in people over 60. And the reason it matters so much is because B12 is directly involved in maintaining the protective coating around your nerves known as the myelin sheath, which acts like insulation around electrical wiring. And when that insulation is strong, nerve signals travel smoothly and clearly. But when it begins to break down, the signals weaken, distort, or fail altogether, leading to numbness, tingling, burning, and that strange disconnected feeling in the feet that so many people struggle with. And the problem is that as we age, our bodies naturally produce less stomach acid, and that acid is required to separate B12 from food so it can be absorbed. Which means even if you are eating meat, eggs, or dairy, you may still not be getting enough usable B12. And this is made worse by common medications like acid blockers, metformin, and some blood pressure drugs that further interfere with absorption, creating a perfect storm where deficiency slowly develops without obvious warning signs. And because the symptoms come on gradually, people often don't connect them to nutrition, They just assume their feet are numb because they are getting older, when in reality their nerves are starving. And when nerves are deprived of B12, they become vulnerable, fragile, and unable to repair themselves. So minor damage accumulates over time and sensation fades little by little. And this is why B12 deficiency is one of the leading nutritional causes of peripheral neuropathy, especially in older adults. And what makes this even more important is that many standard blood tests can miss functional deficiencies, meaning you can be told your levels are normal while your tissues are still lacking, and that leaves people untreated and frustrated. And when B12 is finally restored, the nerves can begin to rebuild that protective layer, improving signal strength and clarity, which is why some people feel warmth return to their toes, or notice tingling that feels different, more alive, more responsive, and that is often the first sign of healing. And it can be incredibly emotional for people who have gone months or years without proper sensation, because it reminds them of what it used to feel like to be connected to the ground. And B12 does not just affect sensation. It also influences balance, coordination, and muscle control. So low levels can make walking feel awkward or unstable, even if strength is still present. And this increases fall risk and fear of movement, which then leads to less activity and further decline. And that cycle can often be interrupted simply by correcting a deficiency. And this is why it is so important not to ignore symptoms or accept them as inevitable. Because B12 is not optional for nerve health. It is essential. And when the body has enough, it can protect, maintain, and in many cases repair nerve tissue. But when it does not, the damage continues quietly. And this is why so many people are shocked when they finally address their B12 levels and realize how much sensation they had lost without noticing. And as feeling slowly returns, they regain confidence, stability, and trust in their body again. And that shift alone can change how they move, how they think, and how they live, because feeling your feet is not a luxury. It is a foundation for independence, safety, and quality of life. And restoring B12 is often one of the most powerful steps in reclaiming that connection and giving your nerves the support they have been missing for far too long. Vitamin B1, also known as thiamine, plays a vital role in nerve function and energy production. Yet it is one of the most underappreciated nutrients when it comes to numbness, tingling, and burning in the feet, especially in older adults, because every nerve cell in your body depends on a steady supply of energy to transmit signals, and B1 is a key driver of that energy production. So when levels drop, the nerves become sluggish, weak, and unable to communicate clearly with the brain, which often shows up as that heavy dead or buzzing sensation in the feet. And unlike muscle pain or joint stiffness, nerve discomfort can feel strange and hard to describe, which makes it easier to dismiss or misinterpret. And this is why so many people live with it for years without realizing a simple deficiency may be playing a major role. And this becomes even more important for people with blood sugar issues, because high glucose levels can block B1 activity and increase the body's demand for it, meaning the nerves are being attacked and deprived at the same time. And over time, the combination can severely impair nerve signaling, leading to worsening numbness, weakness, and sensitivity. And this is where benfotiamine, a special fat-soluble form of B1, becomes especially powerful because it is absorbed much more efficiently than standard thiamine and can actually reach nerve tissue in meaningful amounts, which is why many people with neuropathy symptoms report improvement after using it. And what often happens is that the burning becomes less intense, the tingling softens, and the feet start to feel more responsive, and that shift can happen gradually or surprisingly quickly depending on how depleted the body was. And when nerve cells finally receive enough B1, they can produce energy more efficiently, reduce metabolic stress, and function more normally, which supports clearer signal transmission from the feet to the brain. And that is what helps restore awareness and coordination. And it is also important to understand that B1 is involved in protecting nerves from oxidative stress and inflammation, both of which increase with age and with blood sugar imbalance. So deficiency does not just weaken nerves, it leaves them exposed to damage, and over time that damage accumulates and sensation fades. And many people are never told to check their B1 levels or consider supplementation. So they continue searching for external fixes while the internal problem remains. And when they finally address it, they are often shocked by the difference it makes, because the body responds quickly when a critical nutrient is restored, and this is why B1 is considered a foundational vitamin for nerve health, not an optional one. And it works best when used consistently and in combination with other supportive nutrients, because nerves need multiple building blocks to heal, and when those blocks are missing, no amount of stretching, massage, or topical creams will fully solve the problem. And this is why focusing on internal support is so important, because numbness is not just a surface issue, it is a cellular issue, and B1 works at the cellular level, helping nerves generate energy, resist damage, and communicate effectively. And when that process is supported, people often notice they feel steadier, warmer, and more connected to their feet, and that renewed connection can change how they walk, how they stand, and how confident they feel moving through their day. And for many, this is the first time in years they feel hope that their nerves are not permanently damaged, but simply undernourished and in need of the right support. When vitamin B12 and vitamin B1 are combined, they create a powerful foundation for nerve recovery, because each one supports a different but equally important part of the nerve healing process, with B12 focusing on repair and protection and B1 focusing on function and energy. And this combination is what makes such a noticeable difference for people dealing with numbness, tingling, and that disconnected feeling in the feet. Because instead of just calming symptoms, you are addressing the actual structure and performance of the nerves themselves. And this is important because nerves do not heal the same way muscles or skin do. They require very specific nutrients to rebuild their protective layers and restore signal strength. And when those nutrients are missing, the body simply cannot complete the repair process, no matter how much rest or therapy is applied. And this is why so many people feel stuck until they address both sides of the equation. And when B12 helps rebuild the myelin sheath and B1 helps the nerve cells generate energy and transmit signals, the nerves finally have what they need to start working properly again. And this often shows up as subtle changes at first, like warmth in the toes, gentle tingling, or improved awareness of the floor. And those changes may seem small, but they are powerful signs that communication between the feet and the brain is improving. And this is why people sometimes say their feet feel more alive, more awake, or more connected after starting both vitamins together. And what is happening is not magic, but biology. The body's responding to being properly nourished. And when nerves are no longer struggling to survive, they can begin to function. And this is especially important for older adults because years of reduced absorption, medication use, and metabolic stress often leave both B12 and B1 depleted at the same time, creating a situation where nerves are damaged and underpowered. And addressing only one side of that problem may bring limited results. But addressing both can create momentum for real change. And this is why some people are surprised by how quickly they notice improvement, because the body has been waiting for those missing pieces. And when they finally arrive, the repair process can begin immediately. And that does not mean everything is fixed overnight, but it does mean the direction has changed from decline to recovery. And that shift alone can be incredibly encouraging for someone who has felt stuck for months or years. And as nerve signals become clearer, balance often improves. Coordination becomes more natural. And the fear of misstepping starts to fade. And that is a big deal because fear is often as limiting as the physical symptom itself. And when you trust your feet again, you move differently. You stand taller. And you engage more fully in life. And this is why combining B12 and B1 is not just about sensation. It is about restoring confidence, stability, and independence. And it is also why so many people who had accepted numbness as permanent later realize it was simply a sign of deficiency. And once those deficiencies were corrected, their body responded. And the beauty of this approach is that it works with the body rather than against it, giving it the tools it needs to heal instead of forcing it to adapt to dysfunction. And when you support both nerve repair and nerve performance, at the same time you create the best possible environment for recovery. And that is when real change becomes possible, and the feet that once felt distant and unreliable begin to feel present, responsive, and trustworthy again. Improving numb feet is not just about comfort. It is about protecting your independence, your confidence, and your ability to move through life without fear. Because when you lose sensation in your feet, you are not just losing feeling. You are losing feedback from the ground. and that feedback is what keeps you balanced, stable, and secure with every step you take. And when it fades, even simple activities like walking across a room, stepping off a curb, or climbing stairs can feel uncertain. And that uncertainty slowly changes how you live, often without you even realizing it, because you may start avoiding long walks, standing for too long, or going out alone. And over time, those small adjustments can shrink your world. And this is why numbness should never be treated as a minor issue, because it directly affects safety and mobility, and falls are one of the biggest threats to health and independence as we age. And numb feet dramatically increase that risk, not because you are weak, but because your brain is not getting accurate information from your body. And when that communication is disrupted, your reflexes slow, your steps become cautious, and your posture changes. And that can lead to knee, hip, and back problems as well, creating a chain reaction that affects the entire body. And emotionally, this can be just as heavy. Because when you don't trust your feet, you don't trust yourself. And that loss of confidence can be incredibly limiting, making you feel older than you are and more fragile than you truly are. And this is why restoring sensation is so powerful. Because it does not just change how your feet feel. It changes how you move, how you stand, and how you engage with the world. And when people begin to feel their feet again, they often describe a sense of relief, like a part of their body has come back online. And that reconnection can be deeply emotional, especially for those who had quietly grieved the loss of stability and freedom. And what is so important to understand is that numbness does not have to mean decline. It does not have to mean the end of independence. And it does not have to mean giving up activities you love, because in many cases it can be improved. And when it is, people often become more active again, more willing to walk, more willing to go out, and more confident in their movements. And that increased activity then supports circulation, muscle strength, and overall health, creating a positive cycle instead of a negative one. And this is why addressing numb feet is about so much more than treating a symptom. It is about preserving quality of life. It is about being able to move through your home, your community, and your daily routines without hesitation. And it is about maintaining dignity and self-reliance as you age. And too many people quietly accept numbness as the price of getting older, when in reality it is often a sign that the body needs support. And when that support is given, the results can be life-changing, because feeling steady on your feet affects everything from how you carry yourself to how you plan your day. And when that steadiness returns, people often say they feel younger, stronger, and more capable, not because they have reversed time, but because they have restored function. And that is a powerful reminder that aging does not have to mean losing control over your body, and that even small improvements in sensation can lead to big improvements in confidence, safety, and freedom. And that is why numb feet should never be ignored, because your ability to stand, walk, and move with confidence is the foundation of an active, independent, and fulfilling life.